Welcome to Speaking of Schaumburg. I'm Village President Al Larson. In this episode, we'll hear from the Experimental Aircraft Association about their annual Father's Day breakfast at the Schaumburg Airport. Then we'll speak with the Schaumburg Boomers about what to expect at the ballpark this season. And we'll close out the program with a look at Schaumburg's Farmers Market. All of this and more today here on Speaking of Schaumburg. Every year, the Experimental Aircraft Association and Schaumburg Airport invite the public to feast and fly at their Father's Day gourmet pancake breakfast. Joining us today from EAA Chapter 153, our Vice President Bob Brandt and Director Bob Myers. Well, welcome Bob. Welcome, Bob.
Hello, Al. Good to see you.
Tell us about the Environmental Aircraft Association. And who is it? What do you guys do?
It's a wide range of interests for aviation. It started as the Experimental Aircraft Association for building your airplanes, but it's expanded quite a bit. For example, some people build airplanes. Some people are just aviation enthusiasts. There are a section for warbirds, people who rebuild old warbirds. Bob actually has what's called a vintage airplane, which is it's old enough that it qualifies as vintage, and he rebuilt his plane. So, and we have a lot of non-pilots as well, people who are just interested in aviation.
How do you rebuild the plane? You get a kit, you get a book saying how you know.
Well, rebuilding
Cliff's Notes.
Rebuilding
yes.
Rebuilding and building one new there's a little bit of differences. I can talk to the building from a kit because I did that, and it's just like a model kit, only it's full scale instead of a scale model, and it's made out of aluminum instead of plastic. Some of the pieces come pre-made. In my kit, I had to make a lot of pieces. Some kits are more or less.
How do you make a lot of pieces? I mean,
well, for example,
a lathe in your garage.
Some people have lathes.
Yes, good equipment.
Yeah, and I did a lot of machining out of aluminum stock. So you buy like angle iron, only it's made out of, it's aircraft aluminum, and then chop saw it, cut it with various tools, drills. So I didn't do a lot of heavy machining, but yes, it was machining. But I follow a different set of rules when I'm building an experimental because it's not a certified airplane. So I can build the airplane, I follow a different set of rules, I get the airplane done, I get it certified. What Bob had to do, which is different, is his was a certified airplane, so when you rebuild, then he's got different rules to follow. So he can tell you about that.
Tell us about the difference between what you had to do with, to rebuild one and what Bob here had to do with making one from scratch.
Generally, the certified planes would follow like a brand, like Cessna, which in my case is, or Piper, or Mooney, or de Havilland. Those are all factory built, and you need special training to do that. You are basically like your own factory, so you then become the qualified mechanic to work on it. I needed to hire qualified mechanics to work on mine and do most of the work. I was allowed to do some of the incidental chores to it, the cleanup and the corrosion removal and some painting things, but generally it has to all be done by certified FAA approved personnel.
And where did you get your airplane?
Well, in 1954 it was built by Cessna, and then it was used by the Lear Corporation that used to work with Motorola in Schaumburg to test the fancy autopilots and stuff that was just coming out in that time. And then after Lear got done with it for about a year using it as their demo model, my father bought it from Bill Lear in 1955.
From the guy who Learjet, right?
Right, yeah. Lear radio. I think over in the Motorola Museum they have some old Lear radios still.
Okay.
And then my father used it in his aerial photography business for a lot of years. And then eventually it needed to be restored because it had turned like 50 years old. So I restored it all really nice, or I had the mechanics help me restore it. And now it's flying, and it's been flying around for 7 years since that restoration.
Your dad was a pilot?
Yes, he learned in World War II, and he was an aerial photographer in the Navy.
Is that how you got your start and interest in?
That was a big part of it, yeah. Sure. And since then I've flown with him, for helping him with his aerial photography business. I'd rent planes from the Schaumburg Airport.
Sure.
And he'd hang out the window and take the pictures, and I'd pilot them around Chicagoland.
How'd you get started?
I just had a lifelong interest in aviation, and so I used to watch airplanes and just take pictures of airplanes and build models. And then when I got the opportunity to learn how to fly, since I always liked building things, I thought it'd be an interesting project. And so I went up to the EAA annual conference, they call it Air Venture, up in Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
It's a big air show up there, isn't it?
Yeah, big air show, runs for a week, and all of the different manufacturers of kits are all up there. And a lot of training sessions on how to do different things. And I went up there and looked over the various kits and picked one, and then brought it home to my garage and built it in my garage.
How long did it take?
Mine took about 4 years, although if I were to do it again, I could probably do it in a year. There's so much that you worry about that you're doing for the first time, and you have to research it a lot before you get going. So just doing the panel alone and all the wiring took me several months of figuring out just what equipment I wanted in it. Sure. Then for making all the pieces, when I said I did some machining, I wasn't sure how I was going to do some of the pieces, so I would make some trial pieces, either get different equipment or research how the piece should be made. So that all takes time.
Tell me about the EAA now. You guys, how do you join that? Do you have to have an airplane?
No, anybody can join. There's an annual fee. A lot of people who go up to Oshkosh each year just for the convention join at that day, and then they're a member for a year, and you get all of their publications. It's anybody who's interested in aviation in any way, and like I said, there's all different types of subgroups. There's helicopter groups, vintage, warbirds, experimental home builts like mine, a lot of factory airplanes.
Where's your plane based?
My plane is based at Gary. Okay. I came to this chapter out of Schaumburg because it happens to be a chapter with a lot of builders. A lot of the different local chapters have different flavors. Some people are more social chapters, some people are builders, some people are warbird groups. There's some groups who are just vintage groups. And so a particular chapter usually has some kind of focus. Our chapter it doesn't really have a specific focus on the builder, but there are a lot of active projects. There's several planes that are being built right here in Schaumburg. A friend of mine who built an identical airplane to me only lives about a mile from here, built his airplane. Another guy's building a much bigger airplane, lives in Schaumburg. So I know of at least two that are being, one made and one under construction in Schaumburg, and I'm sure there's several others.
Well, you got a pancake breakfast coming up here. You guys going to cook or?
Yes, we do.
We do. We have about 25 people that help us put it on.
Yeah, we cook. We make pancakes, sausage. We have.
We now have blueberries on top of the pancakes.
Yeah, so you can get optional blueberries. We certainly have
cheese on top of the eggs if you want. Really good coffee. I'm in charge of the coffee.
Okay. Yeah, Bob makes the coffee. He's made the coffee for as long as I can remember.
And the kids can, milk, juice, whatever. We have a lot of options.
Now, what's the event that's coming up? When is it?
It's on Father's Day. It'll run from 8 in the morning until noon. Okay. We also will have helicopter rides there, so people can pay for a helicopter ride.
What does that cost?
I'm not exactly sure. Fuel has changed quite a bit in the last year, so it may be as much as $40 for the helicopter rides. And if we're able to have fixed wing normal airplane rides, those will be around $30.
How many people can you accommodate on one helicopter ride?
I think the helicopter takes 3 people, and you can take up to 3 people in the fixed wing aircraft.
Well, that should be exciting. Mm-hmm. I imagine kids love that, don't they?
Yes.
It's a great day for kids.
Yeah. Now you got free rides for kids. You got some. Is there a program?
Not free rides. We have what we do have, but we don't do that for this.
Okay.
There's a program the EAA runs called the Young Eagles program.
Okay.
You want to tell them about Young Eagles?
Yeah. It's a program designed to get them interested in aviation and give them maybe what might be their first ride. And pilots donate their aircraft time and their own time and gas money to take kids up and let them experience aviation.
When does that take place?
There's another chapter in Schaumburg called 101, and I believe they do theirs on the first Sunday of the month at Schaumburg Airport.
Okay, well, I look forward to the pancake breakfast. That should be interesting. And I've got some people who've talked to me about wanting a helicopter ride. I might have to figure out how I can arrange that. So,
Well, we'd be happy to see you there.
Good. Hey, thanks, Bob.
Nice seeing you again.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it. Schaumburg's home team is back on the field. Find out what we can expect this season next here on Speaking of Schaumburg. After an inaugural season that drew over 125,000 fans, the Schaumburg Boomers are back for another summer of great baseball and family fun. Joining us today are Boomers manager Jamie Bennett and Vice President of Corporate Sales, Jeff Ney. Welcome to Speaking of Schaumburg.
Thanks,
Good to be here.
We're going to have a winning team this year?
We are so far.
Yeah.
8-4 right now,
I
but coming off a season last year where we finished just one game out of the playoffs and 12 games over 500, and played very well at home last year, but good season last year for the inaugural season, and hoping to follow up on that and get into the playoffs this year.
What's the record right now?
4 right now.
Okay. They got a great home team record. I heard that. And
Yeah, we've played very well here in Schaumburg, and hopefully that's exciting for the fans. We came off a game the other night that didn't finish till after midnight with a rain delay and went 12 innings, and hit a walk-off home run. But we've had some exciting baseball here.
what's your background? How did
grew up in Tennessee and went to the University of Tennessee. I was a left-handed pitcher. Got drafted out of there and played minor league ball for the Phillies for a few years, and then got into independent ball, and been in independent ball now for about 10 years.
Okay. You still love it, huh?
Without a doubt.
Still chasing that dream.
That's right.
Marketing. Obviously, marketing, you got the shirt on, but...
For sure, yep. Always wearing the colors.
Yeah. So what do you do?
For me, the focus is advertising sales, but in the minor leagues, it's the all hands on deck. Everybody wears all the hats type of role, and I'm out there pulling the tarp when we have rain delays and helping with any events and promotions going on with all the games.
Do you play baseball at all when you were...
Oh, back in the day, yeah. High school, early part of college is where it ended for me, and hitting curveballs showed me that I was better off selling it than hitting it.
Really?
Yeah. It's a tough game. A lot of years of experience and stuff, and you hear from athletes in various circles, hitting a baseball is the single toughest challenge in sports.
Ask Michael Jordan that, huh?
Yeah, right. Witness for sure.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, I hit a curveball once. The first time I encountered a curveball was I jumped back 2 feet, and I was embarrassed.
Looks like it's coming at your head, right?
Exactly. And I was embarrassed, So the next one I hung in there, and I swung, and I got a base hit. My brother was the baseball player, and that was I was just a 16-inch softball player. I've got a finger here I can't take the ring off. But so where do you guys? Tell us about the season. What's coming up?
We got a lot of promotions coming up.
Yeah, promotionally, all kinds of things going on. That's the nature of minor league baseball with circuses and sideshows along with the baseball. I mean, that is a good thing. It's fun, hopefully, for everyone. Fireworks shows after games on Friday nights, a few weeknights as well, about a dozen shows through the course of the season. A great way to top off an evening at the ballpark, fans running the bases. Half price Wednesdays later in the summer, kids eat free on Tuesdays. Something going on all the time. A giveaway, a squirt gun fight, Coop the mascot, fooling around with the kids.
I got involved in a squirt gun fight last season.
Oh, did you come to that one?
Kids killed me.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
At least it was a warm day, though. Right?
Somebody outed me, Somebody outed me. That's the mayor.
Exactly, yeah.
I took a squirt gun from one of the kids, and
we gave some away. That was a big help, but boy, we were pleased with how many people brought out their own squirt guns, some of those big super soakers and things, and we had a blast with it. Everybody had a great time, and played some baseball, too. I think we won that game as well, so...
Now, who's your best hitter so far?
Best hitter so far, or last year coming back?
Give me a both.
Both. Right now, Chad Mazingo, Sean Maley, both hitting the ball very well for us. Both those guys played for us last year and both All-Stars. Frank Pfister, one of our big names that's back this year from last year, made the All-Star team last year as well. And Steve McQuell, the guy that hit the walk-off home run the other night, hit a ball as far as anybody I've seen it hit it in a long time. But got some exciting players from all over.
Yeah, that's great. Looking forward. I'm going to a game Friday, so.
Oh, good.
Got a bunch of people together to go up there and watch the Boomers. Do you still get questions about the Boomer? What's a Boomer? And
For sure, yeah.
Okay, what's a Boomer?
A Boomer is the nickname for the greater male prairie chicken, which used to be very prominent in Illinois' prairie lands and such. They are falling towards extinction. I'm not smart enough to know the technical steps in between, but they're endangered.
I think they're down in Southern Illinois. I think there's a project they're bringing them.
Exactly.
Back.
Yeah. So the Boomer is the male of the prairie chicken species, and the nickname came from a mating ritual that the male does. Booming dance and booming grounds is their territory. So that all kind of evolved into a new nickname that no other baseball or sports team had.
Now, the Boomers mascot, is it the same person in there all the time?
Oh, that's double secret probation type material there.
It's always Coop,
it's
right?
Coop. Yeah, right.
It's always Coop.
Truthfully, for the grown-ups watching, there's a few performers who help fill the role and do a great job of it. But for the kids, Coop is Coop.
Is there always a guy in there, or is it?
Not necessarily.
It sounds like a trade secret.
For my
right?
2-year-old son, it's always Coop. That's all he knows.
One
But he
of
loves
the people
Coop.
at the table at the moment has donned the costume.
Okay.
So,
really?
yep. Yeah. Goes with the territory.
No, I haven't done it,
Vice President doesn't
He's
get me
got
off
the
the hook.
uniform on, but
Yeah. So.
It's interesting. Baseball's interesting. It's guys actually dress up in the uniform. I guess it's the only sport that's like that, isn't it?
Yeah, there's I don't know the background on it, but you never see a football coach or an NFL coach in a uniform, but baseball, everybody's in a uniform. I don't know what the background on it is. But,
Except Connie Mack. He was a legendary manager
right?
of the Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah, he would wear a suit, right?
He wore a suit.
Shirt and tie.
He wore a suit, yeah, suit and tie. Yeah.
But, my playing days are over, but at least I still get to strap on the uniform. So
How did you do as a player? What was what's your lifetime?
Did okay. I was a starting pitcher at University of Tennessee, drafted in 22nd round by the Phillies, and was a relief pitcher, left-handed relief pitcher for the Phillies, and did pretty well there.
Is it like Bull Durham?
Quite a bit, actually. Surprisingly so.
Really?
It is. Yeah, it's a lot like it. It's not an easy gig for those players. They're not making a lot of money, and it's a lot of hours on the road, a lot of hours on the bus, and you got to love it to do it for sure.
So you guys are predicting a great end of the season,
Absolutely.
and going to make the playoffs. And how many teams in the Frontier League?
14.
14.
14
and
teams.
Where are the Boomers?
Right now, we're after last night. I think
we're a half game out of first
place.
For the moment, we'll fix that tonight and stay right on course. Top of the heap in attendance right now, and that is well ahead of pace from last year. So things are looking up. We want to see Schaumburg come on out and take in a ball game. They'll see some great action. We'll entertain them in between and make a great show of it for everybody.
Talks like a PR guy, doesn't he?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Larson.
it. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
being
sir.
here.
You bet.
Thank you. Schaumburg Farmers Market returns to Town Square this month, and as usual, they've got a lot to offer. Find out more next here on Speaking of Schaumburg. Starting Friday, June 7th, Schaumburg's Farmers Market returns with a wide array of locally grown fruits and vegetables, flowers, plants, gourmet food, and more. Here to tell us about the Farmers Market is Martha Dooley. Martha, tell us about the Farmers Market.
Well, it begins again this year on June 7th, as you said. We have 31 vendors coming to the market this year, which is the same amount as last year. Okay. But we have 27 that are returning. We have 4 new. And I'm pretty excited about our new vendors.
Tell us about it.
We have a gal that's coming that roasts her own coffee. So there'll be fresh ground roasted coffee there. And she'll also have blended teas. I also have another vendor that's coming that makes authentic artisan French breads and French pastries. And then,
what is artisan French bread? Where do the artisan come from?
well, It's actually, they're just beautiful loaves of bread. She brought a couple samples over this winter so we could take a look at them. And some of the loaves she brought had their last name initial in the bread, and they're just beautiful.
So that's artisan bread.
Yeah. They're very, very nice, and they taste good too.
Bread is art.
Yeah, bread is art. And then we have 2 vendors coming that will be selling gluten-free products. One, primarily that's her only product. The other one, she also incorporates all of her ingredients are organic. And so that represents our 4 new vendors this year. And
Where do they come from? Where does your market people come from?
where do I find the vendors kind of thing?
Sure.
I think they hear about Schaumburg's market from maybe some other markets they've been to, or I think during the summer they travel around to see what the farmer market, what the whole process is. And they generally call me.
They come from where, though? From Wisconsin?
Yeah, they come
Illinois?
from pretty much the Midwest. I have vendors from Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, and Indiana.
Okay, and these are typically, they go other places besides Schaumburg?
Right, yeah, they follow like a farmer's market circuit almost. So if I go to the farmer's market that's nearby my home, I'll run into some of the same vendors that we have at our market.
And where's the farmer's market located in Town Square?
It's at 190 South Roselle Road. It's located in the parking lot of the American Indian Center. And it's just south of the intersection of Schaumburg and Roselle Road. And it's the parking lot. The American Indian Center looks like a big gray barn. And we've done some lovely landscape enhancements there with some native plantings and things. So it's pretty easy to see it. Once the vendors get all set up, you'll see all their canopies, their brightly colored tablecloths and all that. And it's hard to miss.
Do you vet what kind of use you're looking for? I mean, you gonna have more than one bread person there, or?
Yeah, that's a big part of how I organize the market. Actually, I take all the applications in, and then I give preference to vendors that have been there in previous years, and then take a look at what the overall mix is and determine my new vendors based on what types of products I need. Or I don't want to fill up, let's say, with too many bread vendors or too many people that sell dog treats or something like that, because it's not, no one does good then. And so that it is kind of a delicate balance to make sure you reach the right group of people.
Do you have more applicants than you have slots?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think we turned away maybe 8 applicants this year. Yeah.
Do you ever turn away somebody who's been there before?
I haven't. No. Mm-mm.
Who's the longest?
Okay, we have 2
longevity,
very long-term vendors, and that would be Nichols Farm. They're out of Illinois, Central Illinois, and then also
what do they bring to the
vegetables and fruit. So they bring a wide range of things, and then also Miller Farms, and they come from Michigan, and they're primarily fruit only and honey.
Okay. So what kind of fruit can you? If I want to go to the farmer's market, what kind of fruit can I expect?
It'll start in June with the strawberries, and then we go into blueberries, peaches, some plums, things like that, and then in the fall a lot of apples, lots of different varieties of apples. And then some of the vendors that sell the vegetables, they start with their spring crops, lettuces, carrots, asparagus, things along that line. Then they branch out later in the season into tomatoes and corn, things like that. And then in the fall, we actually go into pumpkins and some of the winter squashes and things like that. So Brussels sprouts, things like that. How
did the market get started? What's the history over there?
Well,
I know they weren't always at Town Square. I know for a while there they were at maybe 1 or 2 years at St. Peter, wasn't it?
Yeah, when I first started working at the Village, it was the first year, I think, was when it relocated over to St. Peter from the Schaumburg Transportation parking lot that it was on Roselle Road.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, before old Schaumburg PUD was built. So, yeah, then it was at St. Peter for 2 or 3 years. And then we moved back to Town Square where it originally began. But it took a little hiatus while we redeveloped Town Square and, made that area look so much nicer.
How many people do you go through that
During the peak of the season, about 1,000 people per day.
Really?
Yeah, one year we had the farmer's market fell on 4th of July, and I happened to have a counter with me that day. We had 3,000 people attend the market.
Wow.
It was very busy, yeah.
Wow. Do you have farmers there? I would imagine they like it quite a bit,
Oh yeah, we have 5 farmers, and that's pretty much the maximum that I want to take. We don't have since we are limited to 30, 31 vendors, I don't want to have too many farmers, and this way everybody does good and, their sales are high.
You have entertainers there too, don't you?
Yeah, during the year we'll have 7 dates with entertainment. 4 of the dates, 2 of the dates will be a harpist that comes, which is very nice. And then I have a new entertainer this year that 1 week is bringing a duet. And then another week we'll have a trio, and these are string instruments. It's not singing, these are just string instruments. So I'm really excited to see how that goes. And the other 3 dates are with folk singers. One primarily focuses on folk songs that are related to the farming industry and agriculture. And he's great. I had him last year, was the first time he came, Tim Grimm, and he'll be back. And then the 2 others come to celebrate things like 4th of July, Labor Day, things along that line.
Now, do you have candy there too, fudge and things like that?
I had a fudge
For a
vendor
sweet
one
tooth,
year.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
know, me too. I had a fudge vendor one year, but she couldn't come back. It just was too hot. And it was too hard for her to keep her candies and things cool. They kind of melt.
Typically, where do they go from Schaumburg, the market circuit? What's the next?
I have a couple vendors that go all the way out to Rockford, which is hard for me to imagine, and then they spend the afternoon, early evening there. And then others will go to places like Bartlett. I know Palatine has a market. I'm not sure exactly if it's right after ours or what. But
Are they always one day events? I know in Schaumburg certainly it's one day.
Some communities have more than one farmers market per week. For the city of Chicago, of course, has
Sure.
a million of them. But some of the other towns will have one on a weekday as well as one on a weekend.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, what's the time for the market? When does it open up and when does it close? And
So the market is open every Friday from 7 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon. And the vendors are up, ready in their stalls to sell by 6:45. So if people stop by a little bit before 7 on their way to the train or on their way to work, they'd be able to shop at the
I
market.
imagine you got some loyal customers too.
Oh yeah, and we have a lot of people come at lunchtime. We have one vendor that sells crepes that he makes right on site. So
Ooh.
we actually have some people now that come over for lunch. And
Oh, that's great.
yeah, and there's one guy that comes that's been coming ever since I started at St. Peter's. And it's pretty neat to see him continuing to be at the market every week. I've been doing it for 16 years. So
16 years?
yeah,
Oh my.
yeah. Time flies, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, no fooling. What is your how long have you been with the village?
Well, I've been with the village for 16 years.
And what's your title?
I'm the landscape and sustainability planner. So promoting local food falls right into the sustainability topic.
Well, Martha, thank you once
Yeah,
again.
thank you.
Once again. That'll do it for this edition of Speaking of Schaumburg. Join us again next month for another all-new episode. Until then, I'll see you around town.